Do you feel like a stranger in your own life? Like the world outside is moving at a pace that's leaving you behind? You're not alone. Many of us are searching for a deeper connection, a sense of purpose that goes beyond the material world. But where do we start? Perhaps you feel like you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of stress and anxiety, with no clear way out. Or maybe you're hiding behind a mask of success, feeling empty and unfulfilled despite your outward accomplishments. Whatever your story, I invite you to join me on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. Meet Emily, a successful doctor in her late 30s. On the surface, she has it all: a thriving medical practice, a loving family, and a comfortable home. But beneath the facade, Emily feels lost and disconnected from her true self. She's trapped in a cycle of burnout and exhaustion, unable to find the time or energy to pursue her passions. Emily's limiting belief about money is that it corrupts and distances her from her spirituality. As a result, she's hesitant to invest in her practice or take on new clients, fearing that it will compromise her values. Her practical consequence is a struggling business, unable to compete with more established practices. You might be thinking, I'm not Emily, my situation is different. But I ask you, have you ever felt like you're living someone else's dream, rather than your own? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to break free from the constraints of society and create a life that truly reflects your values and passions? Welcome to Zen Companion, where the soul finds abundance and the heart opens to inner light. Join me as we explore the hidden patterns and limiting beliefs that hold us back, and discover the true source of our emotional poverty. Subscribe to this channel to continue on this transformative path. As Emily sat in her plush office, surrounded by the trappings of her successful medical career, she couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness. The familiar scent of antiseptic and the hum of machinery outside her window normally brought her a sense of comfort, but today it felt suffocating. She stared at the framed photos of her patients, their smiling faces a reminder of the love and care she had devoted to her work. Yet, as she looked closer, the images began to blur, and she felt like she was staring into the mirror, searching for a reflection that no longer seemed to exist. The words of her mentor, Dr. Lee, echoed in her mind, "Money can't buy happiness, Emily." But as she glanced at her bank statement, she felt a twinge of guilt. She had worked hard to build her practice, and the financial rewards were substantial. Still, the voice in her head whispered, "You're selling out. You're losing your soul to the almighty dollar." The thought sent a shiver down her spine, and she pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. Just then, her assistant buzzed, interrupting her reverie. A new patient, a young mother, was waiting to be seen. Emily took a deep breath, steeling herself for the encounter. As she entered the examination room, she was struck by the woman's desperation. The mother's eyes pleaded for help, and Emily felt a pang of recognition. She saw herself in that desperation, a reflection of her own inner turmoil. The encounter left Emily feeling drained but also strangely attuned. As she walked back to her office, she noticed the city's vibrant pulse, the sounds of laughter and chatter, the kaleidoscope of colors. The world seemed to be moving at a different rhythm, one that she was no longer a part of. The dream lingered in her mind, but fear held her back from letting go. Emily's thoughts swirled like a whirlpool, pulling her under with every attempt to grasp the wispy threads of her doubts. The memory of her patient's desperation lingered, a haunting echo that refused to fade. She recalled the words she'd whispered to herself, "Money can't buy happiness." Yet, her mind wrestled with the notion that her pursuit of financial security might be a desperate attempt to fill the void within. The more she pondered, the more her anxiety grew. As she sat in her office, The familiar hum of the air conditioner and the soft glow of the lamp only served to magnify her unease. Her gaze drifted to the photographs on her desk, the ones that chronicled her journey from medical school to her current success. The images seemed to mock her, a constant reminder of the sacrifices she'd made for the sake of her career. The words of her patient's plea echoed in her mind, "Please help me." Emily's eyes stung as she acknowledged the weight of her own responsibility. She felt the familiar tug of her limiting beliefs, the ones that whispered, "You can't have it all." The fear of losing her sense of self, of being consumed by the very pursuit of success she'd once coveted, now taunted her. As the silence grew thicker, Emily's fingers drummed a staccato beat on the desk. She felt the call to transformation, a gentle prodding that urged her to explore the cracks in her armor. But the fear of the unknown, of surrendering to the uncertainty, held her back. Her heart ached with the awareness that she was torn between the desire for spiritual connection and the security of her material possessions. The outcome was far from certain, but one thing was clear: the journey ahead would require her to confront the shadows within. Emily wandered through the quiet park, the sun casting dappled shadows on the grass beneath her feet. She had been feeling lost and disconnected from her life, and a recent encounter with a desperate patient had left her questioning her own purpose. As she walked, she stumbled upon a small pond, its surface adorned with lily pads and a few stray flowers. The tranquility of the scene was a welcome respite from the chaos swirling in her mind. Seated on a nearby bench was a wise-looking elderly woman, her eyes closed as she breathed in the scent of the surrounding flora. Emily felt drawn to her, as if this stranger was somehow connected to the answers she so desperately sought. The woman sensed Emily's presence and opened her eyes, offering a warm and gentle smile. "Welcome, Emily. I've been expecting you," she said, her voice soothing and reassuring. "You're troubled by the whispers of your own doubts, aren't you?" Emily nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over her as she poured out her concerns to this stranger. The woman listened attentively, her eyes never leaving Emily's. "You're not alone, Emily. We all struggle with the weight of our own desires and fears. But it's in these moments of uncertainty that we're given the chance to choose a different path. One that leads us closer to our true selves, rather than further away." As they spoke, Emily felt the weight of her limiting beliefs beginning to shift, like the gentle lapping of the pond's water against the shore. She realized that her fear of losing her identity and success was rooted in her own preconceived notions about money and material wealth. The woman's words planted a seed of transformation within her, urging her to explore the spiritual potential of abundance rather than viewing it as a corrupting influence. As they parted ways, the woman handed Emily a small, worn book. "Read this, and remember that the true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in the depth of our own souls." Emily took the book, feeling a spark of hope ignite within her. She sat down on the bench, closing her eyes, and breathed in the beauty of the surroundings, letting the wisdom of the encounter settle deep within her. As Emily sat in the quiet of her own space, the weight of her decision settled within her. The words of the wise woman in the park still lingered, a gentle breeze that stirred the depths of her soul. She felt the small book, now a symbol of her commitment to change, lying open on her lap. The pages, filled with the promise of a different path, seemed to whisper truths she had long neglected. With each breath, Emily felt the armor of her doubts and fears slowly cracking, allowing the light of possibility to seep in. She closed her eyes, letting the silence envelop her, and began to breathe deeply, the air filling her lungs like a promise of renewal. In this moment of stillness, Emily's thoughts turned to the generations that had come before her, their stories of struggle and hardship etched into her psyche like a legacy of scarcity. She realized that the emotional poverty she had inherited was not a destiny, but a choice. With this understanding, a sense of liberation began to unfold within her. The question echoed in her mind: have you ever taken a step into the unknown, trusting that the path would reveal itself? Emily's heart responded with a resounding yes, as she felt the courage to embark on this transformative journey, one that would lead her to confront the deepest fears and desires of her soul. As she sat there, the world outside receding into the background, Emily's fingers began to move, writing down a commitment to herself on a piece of paper. The words flowed like a river, a promise to explore the depths of her own soul, to heal the wounds of her past, and to embrace the abundance that lay within. The act was a small one, yet it felt like a leap into the unknown, a declaration of her intention to break free from the shackles of her limiting beliefs. And as she wrote, Emily felt the weight of her decision settling into her bones, a sense of clarity and purpose that would guide her on the journey ahead, a journey that would wind its way through the shadows of her own heart, and into the light of a new dawn. As Emily sat in her small apartment, surrounded by the quiet of the night, she felt the weight of her decision settling in. The words of the wise woman echoed in her mind: your limitations are the result of your own beliefs, and you can choose a different path. Emily's eyes wandered to the book on the coffee table, its worn pages a reminder of the journey she was on. She took a deep breath, feeling the tension in her chest begin to release. The days passed, and Emily found herself facing the challenges of her new path. She struggled to reconcile her desire for financial security with her growing sense of spiritual alignment. The temptation to return to her old ways was strong, but Emily knew she couldn't give in. She began to practice mindfulness, taking short moments each day to breathe and focus on the present. One evening, as she walked home from work, Emily stumbled upon a small community garden. The vibrant colors and lush smells transported her to a place of peace. She felt a sense of belonging, as if she had finally found a space where she could be herself. The wise woman's words whispered in her ear, "You are not alone." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of hope rising within her. As she continued to explore the garden, Emily met Sarah, a kind-hearted community member who shared her passion for sustainability. Their conversation flowed easily, and Emily found herself opening up about her struggles and doubts. Sarah listened with compassion, offering words of encouragement and guidance. For the first time, Emily felt like she was on the right path, like she was finally taking steps toward healing the emotional poverty that had haunted her for so long. The garden, with its beauty and simplicity, had become a symbol of hope, a reminder that she was capable of growth and transformation. As Emily sat in her apartment, surrounded by the familiar comforts of her life, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The words of the wise woman still lingered in her mind, echoing the idea that her emotional poverty was a choice, not a destiny. She thought about her job, her relationships, and her financial struggles, and wondered if she had been living someone else's dream instead of her own. The weight of this realization settled in, and Emily felt a sense of disconnection from the world around her. She looked around her apartment, taking in the tidy space, the expensive furniture, and the carefully curated decor, and felt a pang of emptiness. The silence was oppressive, and Emily felt a call to adventure, a stirring in her soul that she couldn't ignore. She rose from her seat and walked to the window, gazing out at the city below. The sounds of the street, the hum of the traffic, and the chatter of passers-by created a sense of distance, a reminder that there was a world beyond her own struggles. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the air fill her lungs, and closed her eyes, allowing herself to settle into the present moment. As she stood there, she felt a subtle shift, a sense of possibility that she hadn't felt in a long time. Have you ever felt a call that stirred your soul, a sense of discontent that hinted at a deeper truth? Emily's heart was whispering a question, one that she couldn't quite articulate, but it was enough to spark a sense of curiosity, a sense of spiritual tension that left her hesitant but intrigued. The city lights twinkled below, a reminder of the world's beauty and complexity, and Emily felt a sense of longing, a yearning for something more. She didn't know what it was, or how to get there, but she felt a sense of restlessness, a sense that she couldn't stay in this place of emotional poverty forever. The darkness outside seemed to press in, a reminder of the unknown, and Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. She was at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take, but she knew that she couldn't stay still. The silence was broken by the sound of her own heartbeat, a reminder that she was alive, and that she had a choice to make. Emily's fingers trembled as she grasped the pen, the words on the page blurring together. She had been staring at the same sentence for what felt like hours, the weight of her doubts and fears crushing her. The woman's words echoed in her mind, emotional poverty is a choice, not a destiny. She felt like she was living someone else's life, not her own. The silence was broken only by the sound of her own heartbeat, reminding her that she had a choice to make. With a deep breath, she began to write, the words flowing out of her like a river. She wrote about the fear of being trapped in a life of material possessions, of being consumed by the very things that were supposed to bring her happiness. As she wrote, the room around her began to fade away, leaving only her and the words on the page. The pen slipped from her fingers, and she felt herself lifted out of her body, floating above the city below. The wind whispered secrets in her ear, reminding her that she was not alone, that there were others out there who were searching for the same truth. With a sense of clarity and purpose, she felt herself being pulled back into her body, the words still echoing in her mind. She looked around, taking in the familiar surroundings, but everything seemed different now. She felt a sense of surrender, a sense of freedom. As Emily sat in stillness, surrounded by the vibrant colors of the community garden, she felt the warmth of the sun on her skin and the gentle breeze rustling her hair. The sounds of nature, birds chirping, leaves rustling, created a soothing melody that seemed to harmonize her inner world. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, and allowed herself to settle into the present moment. The wisdom of the woman wise echoed in her mind, reminding her that emotional poverty was a choice, not a destiny. With this realization, Emily felt a sense of calm alignment wash over her, as if she had finally found a missing piece of herself. As she sat in silence, Emily's hands instinctively moved to her heart, and she began to practice a symbolic gesture of gratitude, pressing her palms together in a gentle gesture of appreciation. This simple action seemed to ignite a sense of inner empowerment, as if she was embracing her own worth and value. The vibrant colors around her seemed to intensify, and the sounds of nature grew louder, as if the world was conspiring to remind her of the beauty and abundance that surrounded her. Have you ever paused to feel true abundance, to let go of the limitations that bind you? In this moment of stillness, Emily felt a sense of connection to the world around her, as if the boundaries between herself and nature had dissolved. The rejection of emotional poverty seemed to be healing, like a wound slowly closing. She felt a sense of openness, a sense of receptivity to the path ahead, with all its unknowns and possibilities. Share this light with a heart seeking truth, and may it illuminate the journey towards inner empowerment and spiritual growth. As Emily slowly opened her eyes, she felt a sense of quiet transition, as if she was stepping into a new chapter of her life, one that was filled with promise and possibility. Emily stepped back into her office, the familiar surroundings a gentle reminder of her journey. She took a deep breath, feeling the calm alignment she had discovered in the garden now infused in her daily life. As she sat at her desk, she noticed the stack of unpaid bills and the dwindling bank account. A familiar fear began to creep in, but she remembered the words of the wise woman: "Poverty is a choice, not a destiny." Emily took a conscious breath, feeling the air fill her lungs, and began to write on a piece of paper. With each word, she acknowledged her fears and doubts, releasing them like autumn leaves. As she wrote, the room began to fade, and she felt a sense of detachment from the material world. Emily realized that her limiting beliefs had been holding her back, and she was now ready to integrate the wisdom she had gained. With a sense of purpose, she began to organize her finances, using her resources to support a local community project. The act of giving brought her a sense of joy and fulfillment, and she knew that she was no longer bound by the poverty of her thoughts. As she looked out the window, Emily felt a sense of quiet confidence, knowing that she had taken the first step towards a more authentic life. Have you ever applied a new truth to your life? Share this light with a heart-seeking truth, and let us break free from the chains of emotional poverty together. As Emily stood in the community space, surrounded by the people she had helped through her project, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The weight of her inherited emotional poverty, a burden passed down through generations, began to lift. She recalled the wise woman's words, "Poverty is a choice, not a destiny," and realized that she had been given a choice to break free from this cycle. With a gentle smile, Emily closed her eyes and took a deep breath, allowing the present moment to fill her. In this stillness, she practiced a silent gesture of gratitude, acknowledging the abundance that had always been available to her. As she opened her eyes, a sense of clarity and purpose filled her gaze, symbolizing a death to her old limitations and a rebirth into a life of spiritual alignment. In this moment of resurrection, Emily embodied the truth that money was not the source of her worth, but a neutral energy that could be used to support her purpose. She felt a sense of grounded confidence, as if she had finally found her place in the world. The community around her seemed to fade into the background, and all that remained was the gentle hum of her own heartbeat. How would the world change if this inner truth were carried by all, she wondered. Share this light with a heart-seeking truth, and may it guide them on their own journey of healing and transformation. As Emily's gaze settled on the horizon, a sense of calm and clarity filled the air, signaling a new beginning. As Emily settled back into her community space, she felt a sense of calm wash over her. The familiar surroundings, once a reminder of her financial struggles, now radiated a warm sense of belonging. She smiled gently, knowing that her journey had transformed the way she viewed money and her place in the world. With a quiet strength, she began to mingle with the people she had helped through her project, listening intently to their stories and sharing her own. Her presence was a balm to those around her, a reminder that true abundance came from within. As she sipped her tea, Emily closed her eyes, and her mind wandered to the woman who had spoken the words that had set her free. Poverty is a choice, not a destiny. She breathed deeply, allowing the memory to fill her with a sense of peace. In this moment, Emily embodied the wisdom she had gained, her heart full of gratitude and compassion. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was no longer bound by the limitations of her past. With a sense of serenity, she opened her eyes, ready to continue sharing her story with the world. If this message touched something within you, let your heart leave a quiet echo by liking the video. If it awakened thoughts, memories, or questions, share your reflections in the comments. They may become a light for someone else. And if you wish to continue walking this path of quiet wisdom together, subscribe to the channel and stay close as we journey deeper into the stillness that unites us.